Hello, welcome to LMC and Knowledge, Lyric's music channel of spiritual insight and wisdom that I will share to you so you can take along your spiritual journey. I hope you're having a good day, good night, wherever you're at, and whenever you see this, make sure that you're prayed up and in that light of Jesus, okay? Because your prayers are not only helping you and your family, but it's helping us all as a collective as we are transcending in God's energy, okay? It's going to be an elevation every year and every day that we dedicate our lives and souls to God's way, God's way to go. But today, God is saying man-made drugs. So, God's saying it's like a little frustrating how we as a collective of people depend on these human man-made drugs. Now I'm hearing like God's telling me, like he's playing like a commercial in my head right now. When they be, them infomercials when they tell you that they introduce you to this drug, right? And they say, side effects may cause death, hard hearing or breathing, or may cause blindness, or may cause internal, like all these negative side effects. And they have to say it, but you know how they make it speed up? Like just when they were introducing you to the drug, then when they're telling you about how dangerous and deadly it can cause heart attack, and if you have these diseases or cancers, please do not take this, or ask your doctor before you take all that extra stuff, right? God's like, why do y'all take risks with man, but you won't take risks with me? A risk and a leap of faith of trusting that God can heal you spiritually and internally, and through energy, God can literally take away your disease. He could take away your pain. But when I said that, you kind of felt lack of faith, right? You felt lack of faith when I said take away your pain. But you got so much faith in these physical drugs when it all started internally. It all started in the spirit. Your spirit felt that health decline. Your spirit felt that lack of energy, that fatigue, that pain. Your spirit felt it come before it happened in the physical, right? Because if that wasn't the right way, we wouldn't even be spiritual. We wouldn't even have a spirit inside of us. We would just be all physical, but we're not all physical, right? And it's like we don't pay attention to what God can do in our lives. We call the doctor instead of calling God, right? God's saying, y'all depend on these doctors more. Y'all depend on me. When these doctors are human, they ain't God. They make mistakes, but God don't make mistakes. But y'all still trust in this human because it's a temporary relief, right? But then you still, God's saying all them prescriptions, you in a cycle. You know that? Are you aware that you're in a cycle when you are bound and bonded to these prescription drugs? But you don't want to be bound and bonded to God and his healing. And I'm sorry that this may make you feel a certain way, like, well, I got this going on, and if I don't take it, I'm going to die, or something like that, right? But without God, you ain't living. Sorry for that pause, but I'm just saying, like, I had to take matters into my own hands. I had to take my power back. Because when you take them drugs, or when you feel like you don't have them, you feel powerless. You feel helpless. You feel lack of health, of positive health, right? And it's about your faith. God says, I see your faith is stronger in that drugs than it is in me. And that's why you stuck to them. Wouldn't you rather be stuck to me? That's what God's saying. I want to be stuck like super glue, impossible to break, impossible to separate with God. That's where I want to go with God, and that's what I believe. And the reason why I'm talking about this right now is because I went through a situation with my health 2 times. And I said this in my video before, but now God's telling me to say it again. Because this is part of my testimony. And this is what increased my faith in God and increased my health. Like, literally, they told me I was going to die, DIE, 2 times. But you see, I'm still here today. I'm here talking to you, right? They told me, humans told me I was going to die. God didn't tell me I was going to die. But they didn't realize it was just, I had high anxiety. I was highly anxious and I had panic attacks. I had cold sweats. I had all of that type of stuff. It was so simple. It was like the main thing was anxiety and panic attacks, right? But they thought I was going to have a heart attack, right? So I had to get an EKG or EKG, whatever they call it. They did that to me 2 times. Didn't find anything. Gave me x-rays. Didn't find anything, right? And y'all, I know y'all heard of those stories before when these people are sick for some reason. They go to the doctors and they can never figure out what is wrong with them. Y'all, I know you've heard of those type of stories. It's time to believe in those type of stories and know that it's God who's in control. You know, we allow these doctors to be in control of our health. We depend on these doctors for our health, but we don't depend on God for our health. You go to more doctor visits and appointments than you pray to God. And it's like that's where God, you know, he allows it to happen, right? He allows you to do that and go there because you have free will. You have free will to depend on man or depend on God. God's not going to force you and say, hey, I can heal you. You know I can heal you. You might have to go through a different type of trials, but you're going to make it though, right? And it's like people don't have faith that they'll make it without the drugs. And that's why they stay stuck to them. It's not a way I would want to live at all. And that's why I changed it. Like, they wanted to give me drugs for my anxiety. So I'm going through spiritual warfare and you want to give me a pill for spiritual warfare. Okay, cool. Thanks, doc. I need a spiritual doctor. Because at this moment, it's something going on with me internally that y'all can't see through the x-ray, through the man-made x-rays and all that, through the physical. You can't see what's going on. And people don't understand that it happened in the physical before it happened in the spirit before it got physical. And people just drag on with their health, right? God's saying, like, I'm seeing people drag on. Like, you know how they carry, I'm seeing like a stick, right? And then they attach like that sheet and then they put stuff in the sheet and put it over their shoulder. But the sheet was small at first, right? It was a small bag. Then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you're carrying this huge load of weight, right? And that weight is your health. That was just not, it was just declining. It was getting worse and worse, right? Now I'm hearing like the pressure is getting worse, something like that, how they say it in that accent. But yeah, the pressure just gets worse, and then you have to make a decision. Now I'm hearing something about dialysis. And you're trapped to that. You're just trapped to the physical. When God wants you to be free. But these doctors want to trap you. And I know you guys know that the doctors don't want the best for you. But then there's our people in the field that do know, right? But it's a very small amount. And this is what I told myself. I told myself this, like, God knows what's going on with me. God knows. God knows. God knows. Even when the doctor don't know, God knows, right? So that's when I began to just lean on to God. And then I understood that my anxiety and those panic attacks was a spiritual awakening. That was one of my awakenings. I went through 3 awakenings, very, very traumatic awakenings in 2019 that literally changed the direction of my life and my spirit. And I couldn't run to anybody for assistance. I couldn't, because what I was going through was inside of me. And I only knew that's when God wanted to speak with me, you know. I believe that God speaks through his people, speaks to his people through health, right? And then there's certain people who are just, that's their life. Like, that's what they signed up for, you know. We have a soul contract that we assign. That's why when God said it's a plan, it's always a plan. before you came here, that means you co-created with God. You don't remember it as a baby because you come as a newborn. You come with, they say you stop remembering the information in your past life when you're 3 years old. And, like, that's just when you're, oh my God, now I'm looking at that, it was that movie about babies, right? And it was these people who had, I forgot what that movie is called. I need to watch that movie again. But it was those babies, and they had some in the, they were doing, like, experiments on these babies because they knew babies had certain information, right? And, like, these babies could talk in their own language, and they were able to understand. But they were speaking of high consciousness. Like, they knew stuff that adults knew, but at a baby stage, right? But then when they turned 3 or 4, they literally just lost consciousness. Like, they no longer could connect or tap into that realm again, that realm of knowledge, as a baby, as a newborn. But because you know how they say babies are the closest thing to God, or like the purest thing to God, because they obviously just left out of that spiritual realm to go to the physical. So that's why they say there's old souls and all that type of stuff. Because yes, you've been here before. This isn't your first rodeo. And I said that in my other video too. Like, you literally, there's certain people around her walking with so much knowledge and information, you know. And sometimes through life we get, like, the devil tries to pick at us and destroy our information, or try to make us have amnesia of what we're here for and what we need to do. But like I said, there's always a plan. So, God's just saying it's time to just put your faith in Him and know that He can heal you, because I was healed from God. I rebuke any disease and in the Bible, it literally says, I can't word it for every exact words, but He was just saying how, like, if you live for Him, you will die for Him, but not like, in a negative way, but like, you live for God, you talk for God, you speak for God, you walk for God, you literally just do everything for God, right? And God will literally shelter you, cloak you, protect you from any disease. You will not be touched by disease. Disease is a curse. Disease is an entity. Disease is a spirit that attaches itself to God's people, right? So when you find out it's a spirit that you're dealing with, you'll know how to battle it, right? But they're telling you to battle this spirit with a physical drug, right? And that just keeps you stuck in a trap. So, you know, take whatever resonates with this message, but just be more mindful with your health and know that God knows. He knows how many times your heart beating. He knows when your blood gonna rise. He knows when your sugar gonna drop. He knows all of that. He knows when your heart gonna stop. So just allow God to work through you. But yeah, so here's one affirmation I want to give to you guys before I close out this message. I am healed through God's power. 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 Say that as much as you want. Say it 1,000,000 times. Say it till you brainwashed with God's power, okay? That's what you need, okay? But yeah, you guys can comment that down below to set it in stone, or repeat it multiple times to rewire your mind. I love you guys, and peace. See you in my next video.